Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the host of Independent Thought. My name is Desmond Price. No matter where you are in the world, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes of your day to hear my thoughts. As always, we have a great show for you today. Now, here are our topics. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Independent Thought. My name is Desmond Price. This is my 8th bonus episode. If you are wondering, how come I haven't heard about these other bonus episodes? It might be because of the platform you're using. Strangely enough, for whatever reason, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, which I know that according to my data, 60% of my listeners are, then you'll have to go to the available episodes, scroll to the very bottom, and I mean like the very bottom, like before season 1. And that's where all the bonus episodes are being hidden from you. So if you have missed 1 or 2 or more bonus episodes, that's where they're all at. But aside from all of that, thank you for sticking with me through my in-between season break here. So season 3 wrapped up a couple weeks ago at the end of May with my human trafficking episode. I am currently taking a hiatus in between seasons 3 and 4, taking a little bit of a mental health / just fun break. Need some time away from staying involved and staying engaged in politics on a day-to-day basis. So that's the goal of this break right now. And my birthday's around the corner. So don't want to be talking about things like, eviction crisis and qualified immunity when it's your birthday, right? Anyway, so I will be on this break for another 5 to 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks. I'm looking at a return date of somewhere either July 19th or July 26th. That's when season 4 will begin. I have a slate of good topics and guests coming up for all of you, but I'll get to that a little bit later in this bonus. Because first and foremost, I want to just say thank you to all of the people who have checked out my most recent episode on human trafficking. That episode was incredibly just painful to research as far as going through different people's testimonials, reading so many articles about the situation, watching lots of documentaries about it. And as I mentioned in the episode, I felt like as I was going to craft the episode, it was really impossible for me to put just enough information in there to do that subject justice, as more than one person pointed out online in their feedback. But I wasn't really interested in making a 3-hour episode, a 4-hour episode about that subject. So I think, as I mentioned in the last episode, we'll definitely be revisiting that in the future to give that topic more of a narrowed focus. I kind of gave it a broad focus. We'll probably try to narrow it down a little bit the next time that we talk about that. But I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who checked it out. I know that these episodes, are kind of longer. Some of these topics are a little harder to deal with, but a lot of you gave me just some glowing feedback about it. So I'm glad that so many of you had it resonate with you. So thank you to everyone who checked out that episode. To those who are wondering, I've had some people reach out to me and ask me, what's the best way to keep up with the podcast? I would say Instagram. So if you're not already, please follow me on Instagram at Independent Thought. That is the place where I spend the most time on social media. I occasionally check out other platforms. I'm occasionally on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I created a TikTok, but I've barely touched the thing, so I wouldn't really count it. But yeah, Instagram is the place to keep up with me. I'm pretty, I answer my DMs pretty regularly. So I would say that if you have any questions, any requests, if you are interested in coming onto the podcast, Instagram is the way to get a hold of me, just hands down. So if you're not already, definitely go follow me on there. And if you are hearing this episode right now, there's a very strong chance that you are a subscriber, because I do not advertise these bonus episodes on social media in any fashion. So thank you for being a subscriber. If for some reason you are not, the subscribe button is right next to my picture, like where you went to go click play. So click subscribe after this so that you don't miss any future bonus episodes, because I will be having quite a few of them come out between now and the start of season 4. Kind of keep you updated on what's going on behind the scenes and tell you what's coming next. So I also want to say a quick thank you to my patrons, all 36 people who have signed up to be members of my Patreon. You make this whole thing go. I really appreciate you helping me kind of, be very independent, allow me the flexibility to make this podcast. And I'm hoping to, continue to grow this thing into something bigger, and hopefully something that can be a little more encompassing and put out more content, just more often, which is the goal of what we want to eventually do here. And before I kind of, close out season 3, because that's what I want to do with this bonus episode here. I want to just talk about, everyone who came on this season and what exactly it meant to me. But before we do all of that, I have to give a quick break here and allow a commercial to play for the sponsor of this episode. And that sponsor is Bathing Beauty's Beads. And if for some reason you've been listening to my podcast for the last X number of months now, and you haven't already checked out my sponsor, what are you doing? What are you doing? Scroll up into the episode notes. The link for Bathing Beauty's Beads is in the episode notes right now. Go check them out. If you are interested in what you're seeing on her website, they ship anywhere in the US. So go check out Bathing Beauty's Beads right now, and we'll be right back after commercial from our sponsor.
Hey, Indie Thought listeners. Has this past year helped you rediscover your creative and crafty side? Well, then you're going to love our sponsor for today's episode. Bathing Beauty's Beads is a full-service bead shop in the heart of downtown Missoula. Whether it's seed beads, semi-precious stones, vintage beads, or just materials to make a project, they have something for every person and every price range. Not from Missoula? Don't worry. They have an extensive online store and they will ship directly to you. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, they'll welcome you and help you make your next project a reality. You can find them online at Bathing Beauty's Beads on Instagram and Facebook, or at bathingbeautiesbeads.com. And don't forget to use offer code INDEPENDENTTHOUGHT at checkout to save 15% on your order.
Welcome back from the break, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us through this bonus episode of Independent Thought. So I just want to take the rest of this bonus to talk about why I'm so grateful about, to all of my guests who came on and what's coming next from Independent Thought. First of all, I had a host of guests come on this season. Now, prior to this season, I think I had a total of 6 or 7 guests come on through the entirety of this podcast so far. I had seasons 1 and 2 go through all of 2020. And during that time, just not that many different people came on. I had a lot of the same guests come on. Shout out to my friend Christopher Tracy, the #1 guest on my podcast. Just in the sense that he's come on the most, not trying to play super favorites here, but yeah, I didn't have too many people come on seasons 1 and 2, but this season we really had lots of guests come on. And I want to say a quick shout outs to the Flex Coach, to Janae Strickland Nunn, the host of the Confessions from a Red Couch. Wow, I am messing it up. I'm sorry, Janae. Confessions from a Red Couch podcast. I also had on Vladislav Frederick. Thank you for coming on and talking with me in our China's concentration camps episode. Allison Adam Buskey, who came on to be my guest on the Neuralink episode. I want to say thank you to Dalton Fiddick, who came on on my multiple perspectives episode. Thank you for coming on and talking to a left-leaning person about being a conservative. I know that that's not always the safest space for conservatives, so I appreciate you coming on my show and answering my questions about why you voted for Donald Trump and why you believe in conservative politics. Thank you to Lynette Farmer, the host of the Nice to Meet You podcast. If you guys haven't already, check out her podcast. It's amazing. I'm just saying, I'm a fan. You should be a fan. And that same goes for my friend here, Tony, the host of the Mud Talk podcast. He came on afterwards. Great podcast. I'll be check him out. I had Leah come on from the Take Up Space podcast, who just this week put out her 50th episode. So congratulations, Leah, on 50 episodes. I'm hoping that I will be, in your next season's plans. I definitely want to come back on. And I want to say thank you to Daniel Carlino, a local politician here in Missoula, Montana, who took the time out of his campaign to come on to my show to talk about his platform, why he's running for city council. Thank you for coming on. Frank Stiles, the host of the 336 Pull-Up podcast. Thank you for gracing my podcast with your presence. I really appreciated the conversation we had. It was definitely eye-opening. And then I had on Hunter Coleman, Lloyd Ogden, and Carissa Lund in my episode about Biden's infrastructure package. The panel episode was great, everyone. If you haven't checked that episode out, definitely go check that episode out. We're doing more panels in the future. Panel episodes are where it's at. Thank you to my 3 guests from that episode. And then I also want to thank Erlene, also known as Elise, the host of the Shall We Proceed podcast. She was a fantastic guest. I was just on her podcast also recently. So if you're not subscribed to her podcast, go check that out and listen to the episode that we did together, because why not? And finally, V from the Let's Be Real podcast, doing some important work speaking about the LGBTQ community. Definitely check out her podcast. Thank you for coming on and talking about Philadelphia with me. I definitely appreciated that. I had nothing but quality people come on the podcast this season. I'm incredibly grateful that they took the time out of their day, out of their week, to talk to me about all the issues that we talked about. Very much feeling humbled by you, all of you coming on and talking with me. I'm planning on having more people come on the podcast even next season. There are several people lined up. I have a list of over 30 people right now who have asked to come on the podcast next season. So there is a lot more coming, everyone. And I don't want to say specifically who, because, it's never official until you actually sit down to record the interview. So I will save the, official introductions for a later day, but I'm excited with some of the people who have asked to come on. I think we're gonna have some great conversations coming in the not too distant future. So definitely stay tuned, especially as we jump into the late summer and the fall. Now, what's coming next for this podcast? Obviously, I just talked a little bit about some of the guests that are going to be coming. Again, I have quite a few people who want to come onto the podcast. Some of the topics that we're planning on discussing seem to be pretty all over the place, not in a bad way, but just we're going to cover a lot of territory coming soon here. And I'm really excited for it. And on top of that, we're also trying to expand the podcast even further. I understand that audio isn't always the most captivating thing for everyone. I hear you, and video content will be coming. I'm not sure exactly how soon, but video content's on the way. I plan on doing some things with YouTube. I'm already trying to dabble a little bit into Twitch. For those of you who are members of my Patreon, I will be sending you links to my next Twitch live stream. If you're not a member of my Patreon, you just might find it on your own, I'm just saying. Join my Patreon. What's going on, everyone? So, as well as YouTube and Twitch, as I also alluded to, there'll be more panels. There'll be a variety of new topics. After all of the great feedback I got from the seaweed episode, I will definitely be doing episodes similar to that in the future. I heard all of you. The seaweed topic was great. I loved it. Apparently, the rest of you really liked that episode. I'm already trying to figure out what my next episode along those same lines will be. Got a couple different ideas, stay tuned. I'm hoping to bring at least one, maybe two more subjects like that in the next season, maybe more. We'll kind of see how it all phases out. But finally, as I wrap up this bonus episode here, I just want to take a quick moment to address some of the feedback I've been getting on social media. So as some of you listen to the podcast, you have been giving me your thoughts via DM about whatever episodes you've been listening to, whether it's the human trafficking episode, the seaweed episode, the learning or knowing when to rest episode. I am absolutely okay with all of the feedback in the world. Some of you have told me that you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm giving you too much feedback, or maybe you don't want to keep hearing from me. Look, if you want to send me your thoughts on every single episode that you listen to, I'm 100% okay with that. Blow up the DMs. You're always completely okay with me to tell me how you feel about each and every episode. It only helps me as a podcaster. It allows me to know what's working, what's not working, what can be tweaked. You know, you are the audience, and I want to know how it's being received by all of you. So never feel shy about reaching out to me and telling me your feedback on how these episodes are being just being heard by you, how it's landing with you. I definitely want to hear those things. So the more feedback, the better. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to tell me how they felt about all of these different episodes. And honestly, the last thing I want to say to all of you is that if you are leaving my episodes feeling inspired or like you want to learn more about these subjects, and I would just love if you would take a second to share these episodes with, with friends, with family. And also, if you want to tag me on your story or on social media, I would absolutely love that. I think that that's a great way to help share this podcast. And I'm hoping that through doing things like that, we can kind of spread this out to more people so that more people can find this. I would absolutely appreciate that so much. And so with that being said, that's the end of this quick little bonus episode. I'm planning on having a few more of these over the next few weeks as we're paused in this break between seasons 3 and 4. So definitely keep your subscription. What am I trying to say here? Keep your notifications on. Just keep those notifications on because you never know when a bonus episode is going to drop. So thank you so much for listening to this bonus episode, and be on the lookout for more in the future. And if you're not already, definitely go check out my YouTube channel and subscribe, because while there's nothing really that awesome on there at the moment, YouTube content is coming, and I promise it will be good. Thank you to everyone. See you in the next episode.